part is going to say, list all the possible rational roots. I don't care about the sign. Circle the last number called the constant and circle the leading coefficient. If you don't see a 1 in front of the x cubed, it's a 1. We're going to list all the factors of 15. That means what numbers nicely divide into 15. Now, I'm going to do it the slow way, as if you're like, Miss Bradley, I've never heard of the word factors. So I take this number and I divide it by 1. It goes in evenly. There's no decimal. So I know 1 and 15 are factors. And I divide by 2. It does not go in evenly. So 2 doesn't work. I divide by 3. It goes in evenly. So I know 3 and 5 are factors. And I can continue to go. 4 doesn't work. 6 doesn't work. 7 doesn't work. And I can go all the way to 15. I stop when I get to this number. You're going to see that all of them give you some type of a decimal answer. If it's a factor, it goes in evenly. The only factors of 1 would be 1. So when I list when I list the possible rational roots, I'm going to put down the factors of the constant over the factors of the leading coefficient. And then I have to list both of the numbers that are positive and negative. So watch, 1 divided by 1 is 1. So it could be 1 or negative 1. 3 divided by 1 is 3. So it could be 3 or negative 3. 5 divided by 1 is 5. It could be 5 or negative 5. 15 divided by 1 is 15. It could be 15 or negative 15. These are all, and don't forget about the negatives, these are all the possible rational roots. There is a total of 3 answers, and the real answers, well, I'm telling you the way I set it up for today, the way I constructed it, will come from this portion. Now, the second part says use synthetic division, which I refer to as D mama, and factoring to solve. So let's all start by trying 1. If 1 does not work with D mama, then I will try negative 1. Let's all try 1. Put a 1 out. And I'm going to take the coefficients of each term here. So x to the third, x to the second, x to the first, and x to the 0. I know that this is one of the 3 solutions if I end up with 0. So D mama, D means to drop down the first number, and then everything we do is multiply and add. So here we go, multiply and add down. Multiply and add down. Multiply and add down. Is 1 an answer? How do I know? Because I ended up with a 0. So write down x equals 1. That's one answer. Now here's the slow way. If you're really confident with this D mama called synthetic division, then you could go back and test negative 1, 3, negative 3, 5, and you can go through until you find your 2 other solutions. We're going to have 3. But even easier than that is you've been taught how to write this as an equation. So 0 equals, this has no x, 1x, and 2 x's. Let's factor and solve. 1 times 15 is 15. I'm looking for 2 values, if this is possible, that multiplied equal 15 and combined to give you 8. Those 2 values would be 3 and 5. So x plus 3 and x plus 5. Now I need to solve those. So I set each one of these equal to 0. Many of you can just do that in your head. And you get an answer of negative 3 and an answer of negative 5. I had 3 answers and I have found all 3. So these are my 3 answers. I've gone through 2 of the 5 questions. Here's the next part. The next part says, what is the sum of the roots? And it literally gives you these blank spots and you put in the numbers, 1, negative 3, and 5. Add them up on your calculator. Add them up on your calculator, you end up with negative 7. Problem 4 says find the product, and it gives you these lines. Excuse me. 1 times negative 3 times negative 5. When you multiply, you end up with a positive 15. Excuse me. Okay, the very last thing is it gives you a simple graph, and it wants you to sketch it. I know that 1 is a root, negative 3, and negative 5. 1 is a root, negative 3 is a root, and negative 5 is a root. Now, let's look at this function. This is odd degree, positive leading coefficient. Using your arms, what does the end behavior look like for odd degree, but a positive leading coefficient? What does it look like? Turn to your partner. Right hand is up, left hand is down. Right hand is up, left is down. So I'm going to use that information. Listen to me again. This will be helpful for your test. Odd degree, leading coefficient positive. Right is up, the left is down. Now, how do I sketch this graph? Done. Now, this graph does have, the last question is going to be an extra credit question. And the extra credit question looks like this. Y equals negative 0.75 x to the fourth plus 3x to the third minus 2.25 x squared plus 1. When you look at this problem using your arms right now, what is the end behavior of this problem? You may talk to your partner. Go. What is the end behavior of this problem? Even degree, negative. What does even degree negative look like? Both down. So your extra credit gives you a series of questions like this, and then you decide what is the end behavior, but you never have to graph it. That is extra credit.